This episode of Destructoid is brought to you by Netflix. Coming up on Destructoid, Saints Row 4 lets you run for president and get superpowers. Jeff Keighley interviewed a mummy about the Phantom Pain, and our camera's broken, so I'm reading off this piece of paper. All that and more coming up right now on Destructoid.
Welcome to Destructoid. I'm Tara Long.
And I'm Max Scoville.
And I knew that was going to happen.
You said don't, and then you said a swear word, and then this up. And if you guys want to know what's up, we had a man on the show last episode who was not me. He was pretending to be me, and he was so ugly. He broke that camera so that the teleprompter doesn't work. So normally I turn like this and I read off of that camera, but it doesn't work. So it's gonna be a weird episode. Anyway,
it is going to be a weird episode. Speaking of which, don't we
we
have
a special guest.
prop?
It's a special guest, Tara. We're gonna talk about Saints Row 4 because that's the thing.
This is actually what broke our camera.
This is probably what, yeah. Anyway, it's
kind
of starting to get some wear here. I don't know what people have been doing with it. Anyway, Saints Row 4. I just love that I can just say that right now. Volition, now Deep Silver Volition, since being auctioned off by THQ, you can hold this. They dropped a trailer for the newest installment in the only series I can think of that has dildos this big and lets you kill enemies with farts in jars. We've known bits and pieces about the game since it was originally planned as the Enter the Dominatrix expansion pack for Saints Row the Third, but Volition decided to wind up working on it longer and turning it into a full title, and that's what we are getting a trailer for today. The premise is extra stupid, super dumb, even by Saints Row standards. I mean that, of course, in a good way. You, the leader of the Saints, are now the president of the United States of America, and suddenly aliens invade and transport you and your crew into a virtual reality version of Steelport. I don't know if it's a dimension or a virtual reality thing. Anyway, there you get access to alien weapons and technology, as well as superpowers, which include leaping over buildings and outrunning the fastest sports cars, and telekinesis, and apparently half-naked car surfing, according to the trailer. Now, I'm personally pretty excited for a new Saints Row game, but the announcement has gotten, a few negative reactions, including the concern that even a bizarre virtual reality version of Steelport might be just too familiar, at least for a full game. I think DLC, that didn't bother people. A lot of the appeal of a sandbox game is exploring a new location. Of course, Saints Row 1 and 2 were both set in Stillwater, and nobody seemed too upset about that. In fact, Saints Row 2 was actually really, people loved that one a lot.
I was not a fan of Saints Row 2.
Really? Well,
no.
The thing is, I mean, they had the city already made, and I think they just kind of improved on it. Mm-hmm. Maybe 4 will be like that with 3, because a lot of people felt that 3 kind of slimmed down on stuff that was in 2.
Yeah, and if they make it a crazy virtual reality version of it, I'm sure they can figure out some way to add certain areas and explain it.
I am so down for superpowers. Anyway, the other concern that people are voicing, of course, is that Deep Silver Volition is just trying to squeeze out this game before Grand Theft Auto 4 or 5 drops, which is happening a month later.
Yeah.
This is coming out August 20th, and GTA 5 is September 20th. I think the earlier Saints Row games, they had a resemblance to GTA, but at this point, I think it's sort of idiotic to try and compare the two like they're on the same level, because they're really they're doing very different things. Unfortunately, there are, of course, a lot of idiots out there who are making this an issue of picking sides, like you have to do Modern Warfare 3, Battlefield 3, which is better? Anyway, I'm excited for Saints Row 4, but I am kind of worried that Deep Silver and Volition might get swept under the rug. There's no word on pricing yet, but I really hope they don't charge a full $60, because I think it would be a mistake, especially since it is public knowledge that this was originally planned as a $30 expansion pack, and then you factor in the highly anticipated release of GTA 5, as well as new consoles, and I think people might be kind of hesitant to spend money on a game that returns to familiar territory. Tara, stop it! Then again, Saints Row the Third, of course, won over a ton of people, and my Twitter feed has just been abuzz with my friends and colleagues being very excited about this new sequel. And anyone who's attending PAX East will be happy to hear that the game will be at Deep Silver's booth behind closed door. They're going to be doing a presentation, though I don't believe it'll be playable. If you dress up as a Saints Row character, I'm told they will let you jump to the front of the line and get to cut in front of everybody. Of course, what is a Saints Row character?
Yeah, that might actually get you kicked out of the convention.
You got Shondi and you got Johnny Gat and a handful of people, but then of course it's like if you wear your fursuit, if you dress up like a ninja, like a purple dominatrix, do those count as Saints Row cosplay? Who knows? Speaking of PAX East, a lot of you guys have been asking if we are going to be there. Unfortunately, none of us are going to be there. Not me, not Tara, not Anthony, or Adam. A bunch of the Destructoid people will be there, but GDC starts literally the day after PAX ends, so that is not going to be a thing we will be at. Yep. Anyway, Saints Row 4, August 20th. You get to be the president and use superpowers to fight aliens in virtual reality. There.
Why is this so dirty? Makes a good paperweight, if anything. thanks to the Volition people for that again. You might recall, Max, since you were definitely here on Tuesday's show. I talked about Dishonored and their newest DLC, which we have now officially been given details on. It's going to be called The Knife of Dunwall, and it's a story-driven add-on which lets you play from the perspective of Dodd, the assassin who is, of course, responsible for killing the Empress. And by the way, this all happens in the first 30 minutes of the game. So if you haven't played it yet, don't worry, I'm not really spoiling anything. Anyway, The Knife of Dunwall takes place immediately after that assassination when Dodd starts to seek redemption for the crime that he has committed. He ends up turning to the Outsider, who, by the way, I cannot see and not think of Dante now because they look exactly alike. Anyway, the Outsider leads Dodd on and his crew of whalers actually are with him the whole game, on a quest for atonement in search of someone or something named Delilah. Now, this DLC is going to still be set within Dunwall, but you will be traveling to new areas, including the Legal District and the Rothwild Slaughterhouse, which has been described as a steaming factory filled with colossal whale carcasses. I'm sure PETA will have a field day with that one.
Gross.
There's also going to be new enemies, and of course players will have a different set of weapons, gadgets, and supernatural powers to play around with. Interestingly, Bethesda has already announced the third add-on for Dishonored called the Brigmore Witches, which is supposed to release sometime later this year, and that's going to conclude the story of Dodd once and for all. So don't expect any kind of grand conclusion in this DLC. Apparently there will be more to come. And if my internet sleuthery has taught me anything, it's that the name Brigmore Witches appears to make reference to a note that can be found in one of the campaign's chapters, where Dodd reveals his desire to assassinate the leader of a group of witches who gather in the ruins of the Brigmore Manor and can attack people with poison darts and supernatural powers. I don't usually have a lot of desire to play DLC these days, partly because of time and also just because it's hard to jump into a game that you haven't picked up for 3 months. But being able to play from the perspective of a different character than the protagonist is actually a really awesome idea, and one that I really hope more games start to incorporate, because it's like playing a whole new game just set in the same world, and the world of Dishonored is so interesting that I just want to be in there as much as possible. So The Knife of Dunwall is going to be out worldwide on April 16th. This is coming out on 360, PS3, and PC the same day, and it will cost $9.99 or 800 Microsoft points. I'm super excited. Are you?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I never got into Dishonored. You know, they give you so much freedom, and I'm just like, but that means I have to choose things, and I don't.
That's exactly the reason I don't usually like open world games.
Yeah. I think it's interesting, though, the idea of taking a different character and having them be the hero of the game. I think that's really cool. Yeah. One game that did that I thought pretty well, it wasn't DLC, there wasn't DLC when this came out, but Metal Gear Solid 2, they did Metal Gear Solid, was it Subsistence, I think, where you could play as Snake and go through all the things that Snake was doing while Raiden was creeping around. Speaking of Metal Gear, not really, maybe a little bit, who knows. Easily the most interesting game to get revealed at the Spike TV VGAs this year was The Phantom Pain, a mysterious new first project from the Swedish Moby Dick Studios, whose only listed developer is their CEO, Joachim Mogren. Well, if you haven't been paying attention, everyone thinks The Phantom Pain is Metal Gear Solid 5 for a long list of reasons, including the fact that the main character looks a lot like Snake, or the fact that a bunch of guys at Konami's VGA's party were wearing Phantom Pain shirts, or the fact that Joachim is an anagram for Kojima. Well, to prove everyone wrong, Joachim Mogren appeared for a totally not fake interview with Game Trailers TV Jeff Keighley. Mogren's face was covered with bandages, which he attributed to a little accident, and then refused to answer any questions about the game, including, is The Phantom Pain a next-gen title, and do you have any next-gen development kits? Mogren then explained that he would be attending GDC, the annual Game Developers Conference in San Francisco that's coming up real soon, and that he will be explaining everything then. It all would be revealed. And then to prove that he was totally for real and not part of some, publicity stunt, or just some weirdo in a mummy outfit who was trying to lure Jeff Keighley into his hotel room, Mogren then pulled out his iPad to show Jeff some screenshots or concept art for the game. And then when Keighley asked if the large, rather obvious watermark in the corner of one of the images, I think it's the next one, was that of the Fox engine, and asked if that meant that the Phantom Pain was going to be running on the Fox engine, which was made by Kojima, and that's what the next Metal Gear Ground Zeroes is running on. Mogren then suddenly looked very startled, like dramatic music played,
Wow.
and then the interview ended suddenly. So,
he doesn't look like he's been burned.
If you haven't seen this video, by all means, just please go watch this interview because it's like it's like borderline Tim and Eric weirdness. Like,
are we?
Jeff Keighley goes, "Hey, that's the Fox logo. Does that mean that this is going to be running on the Fox engine?" And the music seriously crescendos, goes like, "Duh!" And Mogren just goes like that. He gets startled. Anyway, some people are suggesting that Joaquin Mogren himself might be rendered in the interview using the Fox engine, like he's a CG guy, and it's all just a crazy, wacky tech demo, which would be pretty awesome.
What if we found out all along that the twist was that Jeff Keighley is also like that and has
Jeff
never
Keighley
actually
is actually
existed?
rendered real time in Fox engine. Whoa!
That is really impressive.
Yeah, stop showing these pictures. Stop it. Anyway, I think it's more likely this is just really weird viral marketing for Metal Gear Solid 5 being unveiled at GDC in a few weeks. But hey, you know, I could be wrong, and in any case, this viral marketing is working, and we are talking about it.
I know. I love it. I love when they do things like this. I'm sure they know that people are going to crack the code in like a day, because people always do, but it's still fucking funny. So last week on the show, I talked about Awakened, which is the first piece of DLC for Dead Space 3 that, according to previews, looked to bring back a lot of the psychological horror elements that people thought were missing from the game's campaign. Well, the reviews are out, and they're sort of all over the place, which is what this means. Over on Destructoid.com, Jim Sterling had some mixed feelings about the DLC. He said that while it does see the return of hallucinations and other psychological horror elements from the Dead Space series, its biggest weakness is its brevity, which prevents any of those elements from ever being fully formed. On the positive side, John Carver's character seems to have been injected with a little bit more personality, which I definitely think it needed, and that allows him to feel more like a legitimate character. The game also features a really creepy new variant on the unitologist enemies, which are the human ones, many of whom have now gone insane and started mutilating their own bodies in order to more closely resemble necromorphs. Jim also praised the atmosphere and the combat in the add-on, which he said are on par with anything in Dead Space 3, really, which are great. On the downside, the story, which picks up immediately after the events of the main game, features completely forgettable enemies and a plotline that Jim says could be summed up in a single tweet. It's also just short. Like, the campaign can be beaten in 2 hours, which obviously doesn't leave a whole lot of room for story development, but it's all wrapped up with a rather abrupt and unimpressive cliffhanger. It's a DLC that's packed with good ideas and ultimately never manages to capitalize on any of them. So Jim gave the game a 5.5 out of 10 overall, saying that despite being a Dead Space fan, he felt like he could skip Awakened and miss absolutely nothing of value. Ouch. You can read his full review over on Destructoid.com, and we've got more news to cover beyond that, but first, we are going to thank our sponsor. If you like watching television but hate spending money, then listen up, because I've got the answer to all of your problems, and it's called Netflix. Netflix lets you watch your favorite shows and movies right at home without the added price of a cable bill. You can instantly watch unlimited TV episodes and movies streaming directly to your PC, your Mac, or right to your television if you've got a PS3, Xbox 360, or a Nintendo console. For a limited time, Netflix is offering all Destructoid viewers their own free trial membership. Just head over to netflix.com/Destructoid and sign up. And remember, if you live overseas, which I know many of you do, Netflix may be available in your home country as well. To find out, just visit netflix.com/Destructoid, and it should redirect for your home country. Movies.
You watch a lot of Netflix?
I do watch. That's like pretty much all I watch actually now.
You know
I have a cable bill and I don't use it. I should really just get rid of it.
You know what I watched yesterday on Netflix? Subject to availability based on where you live, but the 1998 Godzilla movie, which is worse than you remember.
Oh, with
it's so bad.
With the Puff Daddy theme song.
Yep, with Puff Daddy and Tom Morello. Dear Lord. Anyway, yep, you can watch that on Netflix. That's with a trial membership.
Or
go sign up.
something 1,000 times better.
Also good movies. Anyway, you guys might remember Payday the Heist. It was that fun little PSN exclusive that dropped in 2011, and it took the sort of Left 4 Dead 4-player co-op shooter model, except they made it about cops and robbers instead of zombies. And today we get a little teaser for a sequel, which pays a very nice little homage to the introductory scene from The Dark Knight. You know, the one with the clowns and the masks, and they're about to do a bank robbery. Anyway, this is really all we have to go on. I think it looks good. Looks all right. Looks pretty nice. This is There's no price or details yet. We know it's going to be coming out sometime this summer. We're probably going to get to see more on it real soon, but the first one was a PSN exclusive and sort of came later to Steam.
Yeah.
This time it is coming to XBLA as well as PSN and Steam. So it'll be on all the things, and you can get all your friends together to come around and just shoot the guns in the bank.
I am really
get
excited
the money
about
in the bags.
I will be playing that on XBLA if it's
Cool, yeah.
anywhere near as good as the first one.
Play together. Let's rob a bank.
I've always wanted to do that. Speaking of teaser trailers, we don't have one yet for Battlefield 4, but we do have a picture that says Battlefield 4 on it, which really
a teaser image.
It's the same thing. Now, granted, we've known about this since last July when EA announced that anyone who pre-ordered Medal of Honor Warfighter on Origin would gain exclusive access to the Battlefield 4 beta, which was weird because they hadn't actually announced Battlefield 4 yet. Well, good news. They still haven't announced it, but they are holding an event during GDC on March 26th to announce it, and we will for sure have details after that. I'm actually surprised by how many games they're going to be showing off at GDC this year. Usually it's pretty light on the video game stuff and just very tech heavy.
Yeah, I've been told that the people who make GDC happen, they kind of get annoyed by that because it's basically publishers sort of piggybacking and making it kind of a trade show when normally GDC is supposed to be about, learning about how upset people who made games were when they were making them, or find out about a new thing that you can use to make games, or go to a seminar. I don't know what that is.
I'm guessing the next gen stuff probably has a little bit to do with that because people are really eager to show off their games.
It's an exciting year.
Yeah.
We have so much fun stuff happening this year.
We really do. Do we have any questions?
We do. Hell Destroyer 77 says the dildo sword needs to be back on camera like now.
I agree. I don't know how it got taken off our set or why, but I am in a rage.
Jessica Janiak says someone needs to make a GIF of Max holding the dildo. I think there's like 4 or 5 of them out there. There were a lot.
And like several different dildos, not just that one.
Yeah, no, I mean, I did other things on the internet before this show.
He had to make a living, guys.
Take some questions.
I'll be over here. You just
the dildo will answer yes or no questions.
Let's see. Are you, Max and Tara, says Deus Asa, excited about The Walking Dead Survival Instinct? I just want to see the rampage. The rampage from us or from the audience when they realize they've bought that game?
Merle and Durrell in a game. What could be better than that?
That is our response.
I'm excited to do a Merle and Durrell Let's Play maybe. I don't know.
That will be. We may not do a full review of that. Well, maybe we will. I don't know.
I've heard that it's the kind of game, just based on the kind of initial hubbub so far, it may or may not get review copies. Who knows? I don't know.
I have no idea. It's possible that sometimes when they can anticipate that a game is bad, they won't send out review copies of it. I don't know if that
like
this one's gonna be like that.
The guy who delivers the review copies, they're like, go over to those game places and deliver them, and he's like,
yeah.
And he just like hides them in the wall somewhere. Like he's just like he throws them in the garbage. He's supposed to be flying windshields or something.
Scrustle asked, not asked, I guess, just said, I was disappointed by Saints Row 2 being in the same city as Saints Row 1.
I'll be honest, I never touched Saints Row 1. I remember seeing it and being like, what the hell is that? That looks like such a GTA ripoff. And watching some footage of it earlier today, I still kind of feel the same way. The dildo fell over.
Oh God, dildo emergency. And then let's see, one more question. Well, this isn't a question.
Stop.
Lil Terrence 206 said, fuck you, whales.
Agreed.
What's wrong with whales? They're so cute.
They're the caribou of the sea. Down there eating up all our algae, being scary, showing up in our Metal Gear games made out of fire.
They're cute. Smiley whales are
nothing
cute.
the size of buses can be cute.
And then Will 58220 said, wait, is Kojima just doing a long-form performance art project?
His entire career, yes.
That would be
one of his old games. I think it was Snatcher. When he had it released, he originally wanted to make the floppy disks it came on be scented like blood. Like he wanted to make the discs emit a chemical that would make your house smell like blood when you were playing the game.
What does blood smell like? Metallic?
I don't know. Floppy disks or something. I don't know. Anyway,
weird.
There's a fun fact about Kojima. That's about all the time we have for today. Thank you guys for tuning in and for watching. As always, you can follow us on Twitter. This was a weird late episode of D-Toid Show. We'll be back on Tuesday with another full episode. Until then, like I said, Twitter, she's Tara Longest. I'm Max Scoville. The show is D-Toid Show. You should go watch this week's Casual Friday. What did you guys talk about this week?
We talked about the Ouya.
I'm glad I was gone this week because I'm tired of talking about the Ouya.
You didn't really miss much, actually.
Yep.
But yeah, we will be back here on Tuesday, and then, of course, next Friday we will have another live show that will be at our regularly scheduled
You
time,
guys
so.
should go check out Rev3 Games on Facebook because our boy Nick, who's in the chat right now, has been putting up the weirdest, dumbest videos. He put up one just before we went live of me and Anthony Carboni shooting stuff. It was actually Tara's birthday cake with a little gun that shoots salt. I don't know. Anyway, have a great weekend.
I ate that birthday cake.
Yeah, well, sorry it was so salty. We were shooting it with a gun.